We invite all listeners, especially those interested in entrepreneurship and in grade 12, to join us for lesson 1 of our 5-part series in entrepreneurship. Today, our topic is reliable resources of information for research. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe the qualities of reliable resources of information for research, define plagiarism, and explain the consequences of plagiarism. Morning, class. Let's start.
Ooh.
Wow, Anna, are you sleeping in my class already?
Morning, miss. I'm sorry. I am quite tired today because I went to bed too late last night.
Oh, naughty.
Okay, if you consider helping my mom with her research, naughty.
Research, isn't that for professors and people who want to invent something or so?
Order, please learners. And we will soon tell you what research is, Abed. And do you know what, Abed? Research is one way of not foreseeing the future but enabling it.
That sounds very grand, Miss David.
I think so too, Anna. And besides, it's true. What is it that your mom is researching?
She is doing a master's degree in business administration, ma'am, at the University of Namibia. And one of the requirements for her to pass is that she has to do a research project.
Wow, she's lucky to have you helping her. Does she also help you with your schoolwork?
Abed, you will stop being nasty right now. Anna, tell us, how do you do this research with your mom?
Well, miss, I actually just look for information on different internet sites. We Google to see what different people have written about a particular research topic.
Research is quite an interesting topic. Why are we discussing this topic today?
For a good reason, Abed. Anna, you will probably not have so much time to help your mom anymore because this year you will be required to do research in your coursework.
That's okay. I've become quite good at research, I think. Is there a lot to learn about it?
There's few do's and don'ts when you're using someone's information.
I bet you can't just surf around stealing other people's hard work in the night, Anna.
That's not fair, Abed. We don't...
Enough, Abed. Pay attention. What is a research? A research is a methodical investigation into a subject in order to discover facts.
So we are going to do an investigation, miss?
Yes, Abed. Wait, I will get to it. Learners, this definition tells us that we do research in order to discover more information about a specific topic. In order to do a good research, one needs to have questions that will help guide you in your research.
I must remember that there are people right here in our country who may even have more experience in some topics.
Yes, depending on what it's like deserts, wild animals, or the things we have here that other countries don't.
You are both absolutely right. Now remember, there are primary and secondary resources of research information. A primary research provides direct or first-hand information about an event, a person, object, or work of art. Those are the people you were talking about just now. Perhaps desert researchers who live on a research station and who gather data themselves by observing and keeping journals. They are primary sources. Secondary sources get their information from primary sources. So, their information may be very good, but it is second-hand information and commentary from other researchers.
So, which type should one use, primary or secondary sources? Primary sounds better, more original.
You have a good question and a good point there, Abed. Primary sources are more credible as evidence, but proper research uses both primary and secondary sources. Primary resources contain first-hand information, meaning that you are reading the author's own account on a specific topic, an event that they themselves participated in. But a secondary source is any description, interpretation, evaluation, or analysis of information from a primary source, from books, articles, documentaries, and so on.
I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, Anna?
How do I know that the information a source gives is even true? Is everything in books true? And even primary sources, what if two different people had different experiences about the same topic?
Well done, Anna. One have to have a critical mind and ask exactly these kind of questions when you do your research. One have to be careful and make sure that the sources of information you are using is reliable.
But how do I know?
Look for information that provide a thorough, well-reasoned theory. Look for counter-arguments from other knowledgeable person on the same topic. And look critically at the evidence that is given in discussions. Because you are absolutely right, not all written resources are reliable, no matter how fiercely they argue their points. Look carefully at the photograph, dates, logical facts, and so on. Check the following: whether the information is current, meaning it should not be older than 5 years. Secondly, check whether the information given is directly related to the topic under discussion and whether the article provides sources for all the supporting ideas.
Yo, all that?
Not all that. Academics look for peer-reviewed articles. That means articles which are critically reviewed by colleagues and others in the field. Books written by researchers for students and other researchers are valuable resources because they get placed under a lot of tough scrutiny before they are published.
Miss, I use Wikipedia a lot. Is it a good source?
No, Anna. You should be careful when using Wikipedia. Some entries are reliable, but some are not. This is because authors and editors of Wikipedia articles are anonymous. It is difficult to judge the reliability of the information. Sometimes you will see the website editors post warnings with articles that they doubt the information of.
Oh, that's a pity, because Wikipedia always has an answer to whatever you are looking for.
Yes, but if you note Wikipedia is a source, your own research result may lose credibility. So be careful. Also, whenever you are looking at a source on the internet, you should specifically check to verify that information is credible. To check the credibility, make sure about a source authority. What authority, qualification, or position does the author have to express statements about the topic? Make sure that the author of the article is mentioned. Credential of the author and the institution he or she is affiliated with. This will make it easier for you to reference the article. Also, check the accuracy. If you spot one incorrect fact, there could be more, and the author had obviously not double-checked before publishing the article. You can determine whether a published work on the internet is accurate by the list of sources cited that can verify the information. The other thing that you need to check is the objectivity. This means whether the author might be personally gained by convincing his or her readers of a specific opinion rather than giving unbiased facts. Objectively can be tested by determining whether that the information presented with the least possible bias. Check to make sure that the article and information are current and updated. Currency is tested by checking whether they state the date when the article was last revised to show that the information is still valid. Lastly, we also need to consider coverage, whereby we check whether the scope of the article is clearly stated and that the support materials are given, such as link to other resources, statistical data, graphics, and so forth.
Sure, that's a lot of requirements to make sure about. So does that mean I should write other people's names in my assignments or research paper?
Yes, definitely, Albert. Even when you get information verbally from somebody, you have to indicate it and the date on which you got the information. This helps the credibility and the credibility of your research work. Even if it should be found later that your source was wrong, you want to make it clear that it was not you that made the mistake, but the source.
Anyway, Anna, if you do not acknowledge an author or source, but use their work, it is plagiarism.
I bet you are right. Anna, plagiarism is a serious offense and it's punishable by law. Plagiarism is when you intentionally or unintentionally use other people's intellectual property claiming to be your own work, meaning you use their work without acknowledging them.
Really? But if the person agreed or gave me permission to use it?
Then you still have to acknowledge them.
I wonder if my mother knows all this, because she has never mentioned it to me before.
Oh dear, Anna's mom is going to jail.
Sis, Abed, you are being nasty. Nobody is going to jail. Ignore him, Anna. However, like I have said, plagiarism is a serious offense. If the rightful owner of the information find out that you have used his or her information without acknowledging them, they have all the right to take legal action against you. And indeed, for plagiarism, you could either be fined or be locked up in prison.
What? Just because I failed to acknowledge the author?
Yes, Anna. Understand, this is really serious. If you are a student caught up in plagiarism, your mark can be withheld or you can even be expelled from the institution, which could destroy your reputation as a student and put a premature end to your career and your future dreams.
My goodness. And maybe I won't even get a place at other institutions.
Well, yes. If you're working at a certain institution for a research project, you submit other people's information without acknowledging them. You should expect to be fired.
Oh, but you're so harsh.
Facts, girl.
But how will they know it's not my own work?
Learners, most academic institutions have a system in place that can quietly easily detect whether the information the student is submitting in her project or his project is existing or whether it is their own work. Please, learners, avoid plagiarism at all costs. It can destroy a person's personal reputation. This happens a lot with entrepreneurs who download and submit business plans from the internet at the bank for funding. Some people copy from the internet and change the business name and submit. This is certain. Using someone else's business plan will not even get you a loan approval.
Yes, I can see that. You will never be trusted at all.
And sadly, this is quite common nowadays.
Okay, so I have to acknowledge everybody. How do I do that?
We call it referencing. And there are two parts of referencing. Citation, which is an in-text referencing style where you indicate the author and the year of publication in round brackets. The other style is where you use only the surname of the author followed by a comma and the year of publication. You should also include the page number, chapter, or section if you want to be more specific.
What if I use information from the newspaper?
Information from a newspaper should also be acknowledged. When referencing, make sure that you use the American Psychological Association. It's called APA referencing style because that is the method approved for use in Namibia. You have to use the recommended style.
Now I understand the complexity of researching information and that one should really be careful.
I'm glad to hear that, Anna. When you consider and apply all I have told you to evaluate the information before using in a research, you can quietly assure that your information will be reliable.
Well, I've got enough information. You can give our research assignments now, ma'am.
Not so hasty, Albert. For me to know that you understand, please tell me, what have you learned today?
Well, I now know what research is. It is a methodical way of looking for truth, or at least of finding more information about a topic.
There are two sources of information, primary and secondary sources. We use both, and the research information should be reliable.
I learned that the sources of research information should be carefully checked, considering the authority, accuracy, objectivity, currency, and coverage. And also, when you use somebody's information, you need to acknowledge the author.
Yes, very good. But is that all?
No, miss. I learned that there are serious consequences of plagiarism. 3 things. They can take legal action against you, where you can end up being fired, fined, given penalties, or even jailed. Secondly, your student and professional reputation can be shattered when a student gets expelled. And lastly, you will not be trusted again. It is so unlawful for an entrepreneur to use someone else's business plan to source for funding.
Referencing and citation are done according to the recommended APA. Referencing style also for our own school, course, work, assignments. One can use in-text citation within the paper or provide a reference list of sources at the end of a research paper in alphabetical order.
Yes, learners, thank you very much for paying such good attention. Listeners, learners, that was lesson 1 of 5 learning radio program for budding entrepreneurship. We hope this lesson have made you more comfortable to identify the qualities of reliable sources of information for research, define plagiarism, and explain the consequences of plagiarism. Join us again for lesson 2. From my side, Ms. Waka, bye.
This lesson is produced by NAMCOL with funding from the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture.